I got into winemaking after meeting my husband of Jason at Jason Stevens Winery. At the time, I was doing weather for Cron 4 in San Francisco, and I would travel with him on his sales trips from Monday through Wednesday, and I'd be on air Thursday through Sunday. So Monday through Wednesday would be fun for me. I'd go to trade shows, taste a lot of wine. It kind of gave me a taste of the industry, whereas before I was just a consumer, an aggressive consumer. But I learned the industry. I started making wine with him 2014, became his assistant winemaker 2015, when I also played around with some wine for myself. And then I opened Alara October 2017. I first worked the crush pad, and so you'd be kind of dirty and sticky and wet, but it was so rewarding. You'd be so exhausted. I think that's what I really fell in love with. I enjoyed creating something. I really like cooking, and so kind of learning about winemaking and creating something that I also like to consume was exciting for me as well. And then learning how different yeast can impart different flavors, or when you pick it, it becomes more concentrated. Just little aspects like that I never thought about in terms of winemaking as a actual process. It was just a drinking. But when I really learned the process, I just liked it. And in terms of creating my own label, I didn't want my husband to be my boss anymore, so I decided to do my own. It's working out great. So once upon a time, I had a clothing line. That was actually what I did before weather. And so I just always loved fashion. I would take my mom's saris and cut them up and make cocktail dresses out of them. So I wanted to bring fashion illustration to the label. So I work with a fashion designer, and I tell her what I think the wines would look like if they were dresses, and she paints them. So each wine has a custom painting for itself to kind of personify it, which is really kind of special. I mean, I would probably have to say the Grenache Blanc, since it got me the most recognition. And it was really good too. It's delicious. But in terms of one that I like more than the other, I don't think I have a preference. They're all my babies. I love them all. I speak to them during harvest too. I let them know how great they're going to be and delicious. Tell them I love them. So that's the secret, the love. I get the Negrette from San Benito County. It's a very rare varietal. I hadn't heard of it myself when my grower asked me if I wanted to play around with the ton. I guess that's how he sells me his fruit. I would say yes too. But it's a lot of people ask me to compare it to something, and I find it difficult to. It's rich and bold, kind of like a Petite Syrah. It's also jammy like a Zin, but then, as I mentioned earlier, if you try them, it doesn't taste like a Zin or Petite Syrah. It's from the southwest of France, kind of close to Bordeaux. So traditionally, it's made into a rosé or blended with Bordeaux varietals like Cab and Cab Franc, and that is directly from Wikipedia, because that's what I learned. That's how I learned about it. But for me, it's probably my best seller out of the tasting room. People are first intrigued by trying something new, and then they just like it because it's pretty tasty. I think the most difficult part of the startup process for me is just understanding business and finance. I sell the wine, I feel like I should be rich by now, but I'm not. I feel like I'm a little bit more broke. I owe the bank a lot of money, so that's probably the most difficult about it. My family first moved to Morgan Hill. I mean, it still has that small town feel, but it was even smaller. I mean, there were probably maybe a fifth of the stoplights that were here, or that were here at the time. It's just grown a lot, but growing up here, it was quiet. We lived in the country. I went to small schools, didn't know a lot of people. My parents were also strict, so I was kind of only allowed to hang out with one friend, but Morgan Hill's fun. Everybody knows everybody when you go out, so it's like a family town. I liked it. But then I went to San Francisco, and I liked that a little bit more. It's just a little bit more fun. But Morgan Hill is still great. I think the diversity, in terms of if we're talking wine region, which we are, a lot of different varietals do well here. There's a lot of microclimates. You get closer to the other side of the freeway from where we're located, and you get some marina fog. So you get that cooling aspect. It does really well for cooler climate grapes. And then on this side, it does well for Bordeaux and warmer climate grapes. So I think that's what's kind of special, the diversity within the valley. So this is my 2017 Viognier. I direct pressed, fermented in stainless steel tank, and then bottled, so no oak influence on it. And as I mentioned, I work with a fashion designer, and I tell her what I think the wines would look like if they were dresses. And this one has a lot of citrus notes, lime, lemon, but it's also floral. So I want it to be kind of like a citrus flower. So that describes her dress perfectly. My fashion designer did an amazing job. It's really light, crisp, perfect for a warm day, which it is not today, but still really nice. It's also got some nice white pepper notes, which is interesting, so it makes it fun for pairing with food, so it can hold up to some pepper notes in like a light salad or seafood salad, something like that. But that's my 2017 Viognier. Next we have my 2016 Pinot Noir that I believe got 92 points in Wine Enthusiast, so my highest score so far, which was very exciting. I got the fruit from San Benito County. It's got 33.3% new French oak on it. I only made 3 barrels, which is why I can get down to how precise I did my oak program. I picked it a little bit later, so it does have a good amount of alcohol on it and some concentrated fruit notes. It's fruity. It's a very California kind of ripe Pinot Noir. I described the dress to be kind of like a drunk pixie. I don't know why, but that's the direction I went, and that's the label for it. And so next I have my 2016 Reserve Pinot Noir. So I also made 3 barrels of this. So I basically inversed it in terms of the winemaking process, and I did 2 new barrels as opposed to 1 new for the last one. So 66.67 new French oak on this. I actually fermented them together, and then I barrel aged them differently, and it's just kind of interesting. This is just complete oak influence to taste the difference between the two. And this one's really nice and elegant. I wanted an evening gown, but still kind of light for a Pinot. So it's a little bit of a sheer dress. And then finally, we have my Negrette, which just got double gold at the Chronicle competition, so that was exciting. It's 2016 vintage. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. It is a varietal that I'd never heard of before, but my grower asked me if I wanted to make it, and I said sure. So it's really jammy, it's rich, it's dark, it's bold. It's probably my most popular one out of the tasting room, and that's about it. I definitely wanted it to be a little bit different than my husband, so his is a little bit more old world style with, well, you guys will talk to him, but softer tannins, some bright acidity. Mine's kind of aggressive on the new oak, so it's a little bit more of a California style wine where you can drink it basically right after I bottle it. I haven't aged them, but if I go by the textbook, I still think mine have some nice acid and tannins that they should be able to age well, but I haven't tested that yet. But that's my style, just kind of California, lots of oak, juicy, high octane. It's definitely fun. It's efficient. You could drink a bottle and get pretty drunk, so definitely efficient. Yes, also delicious. So my next release, I'll be bottling all of my stainless steel, my rosés, Pinot Grigio, Viognier. I did an Albarino this year. I'm also kind of running low on my reds, so I need to get some reds in the bottle. So I'm going to bottle my Grenache, Barbera, Cab Pfeffer. Nobody's heard of that. And my new Tempranillo. So I have a lot coming up. I think my biggest concern right now is being a one-hit wonder. Like last year was so huge for me, but I'm just gonna try to keep it going, focus on quality, if I keep the wine quality up, I'm assuming I should still continue to do well. I don't know where the brand's gonna go. I mean, it's gotten so much press and great awards. I've done really well for the past year. I don't know what to expect moving forward. I'm just hoping it continues. But there's no real plan, maybe ramp up my production a little bit. I'm currently at about 1,200 cases. Maybe get to 2,000-3,000. I mean, it's a big difference between the two, but I don't really have a plan. I'm just gonna still be here and make wines and create pretty labels and drink.